Are you ready for our new piece of paper, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. New piece of paper.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Hold on, let's put
That
this
one
over.
too?
Yeah, let's put this over here. I'll take that one. I'll take it. It's very wet. Let me move it carefully.
Oh,
Thanks.
oh, the bee.
Oops, the paint here. Scoot that over there.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this up here so it can dry.
Right. Let me take guy.
You're gonna draw the sky?
Just the guy.
Oh, just a guy. Okay.
The fin. The fin. Ooh.
Did you hear Penny say for Echo to play Noah's Ark is on the dance floor? It said Joan of Arc is on the dance floor.
What did she say?
She was like, Echo, play Noah's Ark is on the dance floor.
Oh, funny.
All right, a tricky thing about these compared to these is that they kind of have like a cup shape. So I need to drag the shadow down on the inside to make them look like I think they're curling in and kind of dried out. So that's why they have that look. Now, even though I don't really see it in the reference, I like these little pink, the pink hue of the points on this one. So I think I'm gonna add a tiny bit of it here. All right, now the top, are we gonna do that now? Or I think we'll save the top of this until I do the rest of the white highlights later on. I love doing it for the kids as well, by the way. It's so refreshing to hear people. I feel like anyone in the creative industries, whenever I hear them being honest about like the fact that they have kids, I'm like, oh yes, tell me more, because it seems like it can be kind of taboo. I feel like, people are secretive about the fact that they have kids because they think that other people are gonna, I don't know, clients will want to work with them or something like that. So here, yeah, your podcast was huge for me in the beginning of being like, okay, I can still do this and have children. Yeah. Hey friends, welcome to a new vlog. Welcome to September. I guess it's just going to be a habit of me doing the welcome footage from the middle of the month because it is already September 15th. But you will have seen a little bit of what I've been up to so far this month, a combination of client work, client illustration work, and then some work for finishing up my new Skillshare class. We're going to do a little check-in of the to-do list in just a moment here so that you can see kind of where things wrapped up with the August projects and what I'm into right now, and then hopefully what's going to end up happening for the later half of this month. But I did want to mention two little things to you. One, you may have already heard about if you're a patron, and because my patrons are getting this vlog, the same vlog that you're seeing right now, they get a version of that a week earlier that has additional content in it. And in the one for August, I mentioned this, and I did a little, extra pep thing for Creative Pep Talk. So if you ever listen to that podcast, I know I've mentioned it quite a bit on this channel, and I'm definitely a fan. Sometimes at the end of an episode, Andy the host will have somebody share extra pep, which is like a few minutes long usually, just little tips for something. And the theme of the episode was overthinking. So it was definitely right up my alley. And I was super excited to be asked and to be invited to do that. And my little section, it's really small. It's just a couple minutes at the very end of the episode. It's a whole series on overthinking. The whole series is really good if that's something that you struggle with. Which, to be honest, like, let's be honest, who doesn't struggle with that? So I will put a link to the episode that has my little section in it, and that's part 4. So if you like that episode, I don't think you have to listen to them in order necessarily. You can just look at the previous 3 episodes and you'll find the other ones in the series. So thank you again, Andy, for inviting me to do that. And then the other podcast related thing, you have already heard, I think, a little bit of it in this vlog so far, because I had Meg include some of the audio footage from that over some of the video footage of me getting ready for my Skillshare class and preparing those demo pieces for my Skillshare class. And that is for the podcast being Freelance, which is another podcast that I have enjoyed listening to for a long time, for several years. A number of other creatives and illustrators that I really admire have been guests on there. Holly Exley, if you watch her channel, she's an internet friend, and she was on there a couple of years ago. And so yeah, when Steve, the host, reached out to me and asked if I would be a guest, I was super excited. I think that episode will have already come out. So this is September, so you'll be seeing this in like middle of October. So yeah, I'm almost positive that the episode will already be out by then. I will have a link to it in the description box. If for some reason it's not out, I'll just put in a link to the podcast as well. If you are a freelancer and you enjoy hearing from other freelancers, learning from other freelancers, it's an excellent podcast. It's all interviews. And Steve is a really nice guy as well. So those are the 2 podcasty things. Let's check in let's check in on the to-do list. So let me see, can I do it right here? I'm trying to think how that, I know I put that footage in, I think it worked okay. I'll do it this way so that I don't have to turn you around and the mic can be in the same direction. Oh no, that's gonna be too hard to see. We are gonna turn you around. One second. Okay, so if you watch the August vlog, these are all the projects, all the client projects that I was working on in the second half of August. The first half of August wasn't even on here, but each of these lines is a different client project, and then each column is a stage of those projects. So the sketch stage, the watercolor stage, the colored pencil stage, and then the scanning and editing stage. And then down here I have a whole bunch of non-client projects, self-initiated things, everything from working on a book proposal, which I will talk more about in this vlog, finishing up classes, standalone classes and a Skillshare class, and then just some other art businessy related stuff. So this month we have September up here. So let's check in about September and what's going on here for client work, for illustration work, and then I'll touch base on what I have been doing with the non-illustration work. So I should have put the dates that I finished these things on, but all of these things I met I got in by their deadlines. All the deadlines were met, so that was good. And then so far this month, I have been working on, I've already wrapped up 3 client projects, 2 kind of regular size ones, and a smaller one that was just like a little digital thing. And can you see this? Is this in focus? I hope so. And then this week I have to work on 2 other client projects, both that have a deadline of this Friday, the 17th. So both of them have approved sketches, but I need to do watercolor and color pencil and scanning and editing. Between these 2 projects, there's a total of 9 illustrations that I have to finish. Today's Wednesday, so I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I basically have 3 days to finish those 9 illustrations, which should be realistic. Several of them are very small, are just spot illustrations. So I will show you some of that process later. And then after the 17th, next week, I have a couple of projects that I know are coming up. I haven't been given the briefs yet, haven't been given the firm deadline. So we'll see. There is like a small chance that I might end up having a week next week without any client work, which would be awesome because then I could get a bunch of stuff done. I'm so thankful for having client work. I don't mean to sound like I'm not thankful. You guys know I'm super thankful to have client work. But sometimes it's really nice to be able to catch up on other stuff too. So as for the other stuff, even though I've been swamped, I have been continuing to work away at some of these things. So last month I hadn't finished the book proposal yet, and I had to set a due date for myself of September 17th, because that's when I'm checking in with my kind of art accountability group, and I knew that they were going to ask me about it, so I had to get it done by that date. I actually got it done last week. I finished it sooner than I thought, sent it in, and I'm waiting for my agent to give me some feedback on it. I also finished the filming for Weeds and Wildflowers, which is the Skillshare class that's coming out. And I also finalized the client update emails. My studio assistant Disha helped me get those all ready, but I still had to look through each one and make some tweaks and add or change out different images. So that was actually several hours, like a half day of work anyway. So I ended up doing that. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else in here? Oh, I uploaded Weeds and Wildflowers, so I had to upload the footage for Jasper to work on editing. The standalone class is probably going to launch this Friday or at the latest early next week, so keep an eye out for that. I also did some invoicing, sent in I guess these are more like random tasks, but, oh yeah, this is a non-client related one. I had to follow up with the CPA. I've been trying to, work with a CPA now that I am an LLC officially. So that is the to-do list. I have also started, in terms of just thinking about productivity here, because I have my to-do list out, I've also started using Asana. A number of you had recommended it, and I had been using well, really, I've been using basically just like a document to do productivity stuff for quite a long time. And I had a system and it worked okay. And I would do some combination of like notes on my desk in a notebook, and then a document on my computer. And then I had switched fairly recently, like within the last several months, to using this app. It's actually a plugin called Drag that works with your Gmail. And there are a lot of things that are great about it, but I can go into why it didn't really work out for me, but it's very specific stuff, so I'm not sure if it would be helpful for you guys to hear. But ultimately, I ended up trying Asana because a number of you had recommended it, and it is awesome. There's a free version of it. There's also a free version that you can collaborate with people on, and most of these platforms, like Drag has a free version, but in order to collaborate even with one person, you have to do paid for you and that other person. Whereas Asana, you can collaborate with up to 15 people and it's free. So I am pretty much obsessed with that now. I've been using it for a couple of days, but maybe not in this vlog because I feel like we have enough to cover already, but maybe in next month's vlog, if you want to hear or see like what I'm doing with Asana, let me know in the comments to this video, and I can plan to do that, kind of show you the behind the scenes of how I'm using it. And I am using it for collaboration as well, so I'm using it with Disha and Jasper just to make things simpler, since they each work on kind of different projects and they have different areas of overlap. So yeah, let me know if that is something that you want to see. And I think at this point I have got to get to some painting if I'm going to make those Friday deadlines. Hey folks, it is Thursday, September 24th. I am popping in here to answer a few questions that were left on the last vlog. You guys left a bunch of really good ones, so I have, I'm gonna try to get to all of them, but we'll see how much time we have. And they've all been edited a little bit to condense them down. So if I didn't quite get the meaning of your question, feel free to leave a follow-up in this video. And if you have a different question that you want to ask, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and I'll try to get to it next month. First question is from Anna Farba. Anna asks, could you please share your thoughts on getting a consistent flow of project inquiries? I understand it takes time to build up relationships and personal projects are also important, but what would you do if the requests just stopped coming? Would you get an illustration agent? Would you create ads? Would you contact all the creative agencies in your areas? Would you contact all the creative agencies in your area? All right, sorry about that. Okay, so let me answer the kind of three questions at the end first. So would I get an illustration agent? Well, I don't know. I don't like making big pronouncements about things I would never do because I feel like that just sets it up so that I have to do that thing at some point. I'm open to the idea of getting an illustration agent, but I would be very particular about it. I have had agents approach me and decided not to pursue it because it didn't seem like the right fit. If it was the right fit, I would get an agent, but I don't think I would go chasing one down if I had a slowdown, because from what I understand, the kind of agents that I want, usually they don't want to work with you unless you are already, you know, in a pretty consistent place. And then agents also do take a cut. So that's just what I would do in that situation. I think there are certain subspecialties of illustration where you really do have to have one, like from the beginning, like children's book, you really need to have an agent. If you are kind of batting at that higher level, because the contracts that you're working out are just quite complex. So for me, the contracts that I end up working out, I understand all of it. This is a whole other video, like whether we need an agent or not. But yes, personally, I wouldn't pursue that. That wouldn't be one of the first things I would do. Would I create ads? I have done one ad before and I didn't really see any, and it was with They Draw and Cook, and they are lovely people. It is a really cool website. I never saw anything from it, so I know that there are other places that you could create ads, but that would require spending money, and you know, if I had a big slowdown in work, I probably would be tightening the belt a little bit and not doing something like that. Would I contact all the creative agencies in my area? Potentially. I would change the framing of that question, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So the three things that I know personally that I would do, because they are what I have done in the past when I did have more regular slowdowns, and there are things that have worked for me pretty well so far because they're all very flexible. They're not like super specific rules. But number one is I would create a lot of personal work. I would create a lot of self-initiated work. So back in like 2015, 2016, when things were not as consistent for me, yes, I was getting client work and I was doing it full time, but I would still have long periods of time, like, you know, sometimes a month or more where I didn't have any client work. And then I would get like a big batch of it, and it was very kind of feast or famine. And in those times, I would still, even though they were anxiety producing, I would look forward to some of the slowdowns because I knew that it was when I was going to get to work on projects that I was developing myself, that I had the idea for myself. And that doesn't mean that you just like paint whatever you want or paint like whatever comes into your brain. I think it's good to do some of that too, because it really is good for your creativity, I think. But I also spent a lot of time kind of being strategic and researching and figuring out like how I wanted to position myself in the market, how I wanted to niche down, and would create projects kind of based off of that, like at the intersection of that and what I was interested in. So that'd be the number one thing I would do. And then I would also spend time doing things that I really do like doing, but I don't get to spend much time on them when I am just kind of flat out with client work. So things like, you know, creating more content, You know, I might make more YouTube videos than I usually do. And definitely more classes. I have like I always have this long list of classes that I want to make. And every year I think I'm going to make like 3 or 4 classes, and then I just like struggle to get out 1 or 2. So yeah, those are the first 2 things. And then the third thing, it's kind of a version of what you said, contacting creative agencies. Yeah, I probably would send a few emails out. But emailing, I think I have been pretty transparent about this on this channel. Emailing has never been a big part of my business or how I have built up my business. Most of my clients find me, and when I do remember to ask, most of them find me through Google search or Pinterest, actually. Those are the 2 places I have found. Those are the 2 places where most of my clients seem to have found me. But that being said, I do send out some emails. Mostly they're reaching out to people who I either really, really want to work with, or people who I have worked with in the past and would like to work with again. I don't really do just a big blanket approach. There are some illustrators who send out lists of, you know, hundreds, even thousands of emails. And I think those are the people that get a lot of work from it. And I really can't say much about that approach because it's not one that I've tested or taken. But just to give you a sense of scale, this last big batch of emails that I just did, this update that I did with my studio assistant Disha, was like, Disha, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it was like somewhere between 60 and 65 emails total. So really not that many in the grand scheme of things. And I can tell you that was a ton of work. So I would be focused in terms of the split of my time. I probably would be focused for like 60 to 70% of my time doing the first thing that I mentioned, which is making self-initiated work, and particularly trying to gear it towards, strategically gear it towards some segment of the illustration market that I wanted to work in. Second thing, maybe 20-ish% of the time, I would be doing the things like Skillshare classes or additional content, and then that remainder, probably ideally no more than 10% of my time, hopefully my math is adding up here, no more than 10% of my time would be spent on doing things like direct outreach and trying to get in touch with clients. But that being said, you have to do what works for you. So if you are doing some version of that split and you've been doing that for a long time and nothing is moving, then maybe you do need to try sending out a bigger batch of emails and, you know, reaching out to an illustrator who has done that and who has seen some success with that. Yeah, it's not the route that I've taken, so I'm not going to say anything that much more specific about it. But yeah, for me, personal work first, other content second, and then very last of all, in the smallest amount of time, direct outreach. All right, next question is from Paulina BM. How do you prepare your art supplies for traveling, both for light travel and for moving into a new city? For light travel, like when I just bring it home to work from home, I'll put like my watercolors, since they're liquid watercolors, I put them in this old case that belonged to my dad when he was in art school. And the other thing I used to use before I had that is what the camera is sitting on right now, actually, and it's just like an old wooden box. And then I tend to put my brushes in here, in this brush roll. I've had this for years. And that's because I don't want like anything to happen to the tips. So I do like to have those. That's probably the thing I pack the most carefully, to be honest, even more careful than the glass paints. And then with the colored pencils, so I have them all, you guys have seen this in other vlogs, I have them all in these drawers back here. But I leave them, I've done a couple of things. One, I've just dumped them in a big box, and I don't recommend that. The last time I worked from home, I just stacked these like this and then put them inside a box, and that actually worked really well. Yeah, if all else fails, I am a fan of just having a few boxes around the studio because it's good to just throw things in there and take them home that way. And then when we moved from Boston to Pennsylvania, I don't consult me for advice about how to move on a long trip with your art supplies, because I was terrible. I just like threw things in boxes. I think I did use a brush roll for some of my favorite brushes, but my my scanner was just like thrown in the same box as my lamp. I don't know. I mean, I was like 7 months pregnant at that time, you guys, so don't judge me. Yeah, I probably, if I was gonna move again today, I probably would do something pretty similar to what I just named with those art supplies, being more careful with those things, and then just other things using like tissue paper or whatever in a box. And I think I did, this is coming back to me now, these drawers that you can see behind me here, a lot of those I just left the art supplies in actually, and I taped with painter's tape that wouldn't damage the furniture. I taped the front of the drawers, and that did work fairly well. All right, next question is from MJ Pete 27, who asks, are the speckled palettes distracting? I have to use a clean palette or clear spaces for mixing. So I will show you, I was looking around, my palettes happen to be pretty clean at the moment, but I'll show you a couple that are not, just so you get a sense of how little that affects me. These palettes, I have actually been using these recently for acrylic ink, so they don't re-wet or anything. And then the Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolors that I usually use, they're not as sturdy as acrylic ink. Like they will kind of re-wet a little bit, but once they're really dry, they don't lift that much. It's not like continuing to try to mix on a palette that has tube watercolor in it. So I wash my palette, but this is what this new one looks like when it's clean for me. I don't find the speckles distracting, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal to me. And on this one, this is the first time I've tried to be really organized and like use the same color in the same spot. I've been using this palette here for probably, prior to getting this one from Sugar House, I got this one in, I think I got it in 2019. So I've been using it for 2 years. And I do like it. I liked that it had small wells that you didn't have to put a ton in. I like that it's not an enormous palette, and of course it's pretty. This is like the cleanest it has ever been since I first bought it. Previously, I would just kind of like rinse it out, and if you've seen it in like different videos or whatever, it always was like very dirty, but it had Hydrus watercolor in it, so once those wells were dry, it wasn't that bad. It really didn't create any muddiness. So yeah, I really love this palette, and I know they're hard to get, and I had seen them on social media, and I really wanted one, and I did manage to get it. After getting this, Fran mentioned that she has seen palettes like this on Etsy. So not this exact one, and I'm sure Sugar House, I'm sure that yours are the best, but if you can't get a hold of one, there are similar styles of palettes on Etsy. So yeah, that is what I have to say about that. Next question is from Laura T. How do you determine what to have as the underlayer, watercolor in your case or alcohol in mine, and what should be done in colored pencil? I'm having trouble figuring out the balance between the two. Sometimes I overdo it on the marker and can't correct it with pencil, or I rely too much on pencil and end up with good texture but no depth and sharpness. So I think what Laura is asking, and Laura, tell me if I am misunderstanding this, but I think what Laura is asking is, how do you know like how far to go with the underlayer, or what should be done as an underlayer versus what should be done with colored pencil? And that is a tricky question, and it's I think it's one ultimately that you will just get better at with time. I can't give any hard and fast rule. I can give some general practices that I tend to follow. One is that if there's like a large area of color that I'm gonna need to have, like especially if it's like a mid-tone or a darker color, I will tend to try to lay down a solid wash over that area in something that's like a little bit lighter than the color that I'm ultimately going for. But there are times, this is why it's tricky, there are times when there's something that is gonna have like really light spots on top of something that's really dark, and rather than having to like do all the little light spots and go around them with the dark colored pencil, I will just lay down like almost black, like a really dark layer with watercolor, and then build up the midtones and some of the lights with the colored pencil. I'm realizing as I'm saying this, it's really kind of a problem solving, like a type of problem solving, and I do it each time I start a new piece. So when I'm looking at the subject, I don't just you know, start painting. I look at it for a little bit and I think about, how am I gonna approach this? You know, I kind of think of it like, you know, rock climbers when they, as people who are like serious rock climbers, like they will have the whole route that they're gonna take memorized. Like they know what hold they're gonna do, they know how they're gonna move their body, they know their approach. And I think of painting, in especially mixed media painting, in a similar way. And of course, you know, I have to improvise, and probably a lot more than, you know, really high power rock climbers do. And that is a part of the process. But also at the beginning, I kind of plan out my route. So I think through which parts am I going to lay down in like kind of full strength, like how dark am I going to get, versus which parts am I going to leave fairly light so that I can build up. And it is a balance, because you don't want to go so light across the whole piece that then you end up just spending all this time trying to build up the depth with a colored pencil. But also there are some colors where if you get too dark, it doesn't really give you any wiggle room to lay down your colored pencils. So one thing you can do if you're not sure is do some test swatches, which I do all the time. And not just test swatches to see like, is the watercolor the color that I want, or is the alcohol marker the color that I want, but like actually test like how the layering is going to work. So if you think I'm going to do this mid-tone like gold color here, and then I'm going to put some darker golds and browns on top of it, just do like a little swatch of that and see how that looks. Because sometimes, especially if you're not super familiar with colored pencils, or if you're still learning, you can combine colors and the way that they look is very different than what you expect. And this is true particularly for reds. I find, you know, a lot of the time, if you want to get a really luminous look with red, something that looks really bright and alive, you have to actually be kind of careful not to overdo it, either in the colored pencil or in the watercolor layer. You have to allow a decent amount of white to show through. And especially when you're going in with the red colored pencils, like if you haven't left yourself a lot of wiggle room with the base layer, you can end up kind of stuck. So try experimenting with the combinations on your swatch papers. And other than that, it's just kind of practice. So there will be times when you'll go too far with one or the other, and usually in my experience that can be fixed. You can figure out a way to salvage it, but that also gets easier with experience and experimenting too. So I hope that helps. I'm sorry I can't give a more clear answer. Maybe at some point I could talk about, we could do a video where I look at a specific subject and talk about what approach I would take with it. Yeah, let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. All right, last question is from Carolina Neville O'Neill, Carol, who says, your hair looks amazing. Please share your secrets. So thank you very much, Carol, for saying that. I don't have any secrets because I don't know what I'm doing. I used to have like a very defined hair routine, and something that I did that I felt like worked all the time. My hair is naturally curly, somewhere in between wavy and curly depending on the day. Today it looks more wavy. But yeah, ever since I had kids, my curl pattern has changed, and I've been trying all different kinds of things to figure it out. I follow a lot of curly accounts on Instagram, actually. If you have curly hair, I would recommend doing that. Like just search hashtag CGM or hashtag curly girl method, or and I don't strictly follow curly girl method, if you do know what that is. But there's a lot of like related content to that on Instagram that's super helpful. I generally just do some combination of like a leave-in conditioner and gel, or leave-in conditioner and foam, and I scrunch it while it's still wet, and then I dry it with a diffuser. Yeah, there are people on Instagram who are much better to talk about curly hair stuff with than I am. And I think that that's it for the questions. So thank you to everybody who asked questions. And if I didn't get to yours, or if you asked yours after I filmed this, I'm sorry. And I will take a look and try to get to it in the next one. And if you have a new question that you want to put on this video that I can answer in next month's vlog, go ahead and leave it in the comments. All right, so I am going to do what I talked about in the answer to Anna's question, and I'm gonna work on some personal work because I don't have any client work to do at the moment. I have my class, my new Skillshare class is launching tomorrow, which I am super excited about. But I've been like kind of pushing to try to get that done. And I'm just gonna like take a little bit of a break on that and work on this landscape painting that you see behind me. So that is what we're gonna do next. Hello friends, it is Friday, September 24th. I feel like yesterday I said it was September 24th. If I did, it should have been September 23rd that I said yesterday, and I just got my dates mixed up. I have had today stuck in my head, the 24th stuck in my head because it is the first day of my new Skillshare class. It just launched, Weeds and Wildflowers. I think that's the same one that you will have seen the demo footage from in this vlog. And yeah, it all came together. It's almost 8 hours of footage. It's a ton of footage. It's going well, except Jasper and I just realized that there were, oh my goodness, excuse me one second, I'm having like really dry lips. Going well, except Jasper and I just realized that there were a couple of missing clips, which is not shocking because there were like over 50 clips, and then there are a couple of little sound issues that might have happened when the videos got compressed. They sounded fine before they were up on Skillshare, now they sound kind of funny. And yeah, so we're taking care of that. I feel a little anxious at the moment because I have never had like that kind of an issue. I've never had those kinds of issues come up once this class was published. I've always figured them out before the class published. And I think this time it's, you know, it's on me for like not triple checking stuff enough, but because there were so many clips, because it was such a big class, everything was checked, but you know, it happens. So I am feeling kind of a little bit like on edge at the moment because of that, but I know it's all gonna be fine. And I wanted to hop on here and wrap up this vlog with you all. Since I think this is going to be the end of the monthly vlog. I mean, officially, I think my first day filming was September 1st, so there's more time this month than last month. I just need a little time to get it downloaded, get my notes, and get it sent off to Meg so that it can be edited. I'm realizing that I didn't ever talk about my book agent in this video, and I had asked you in the last vlog whether you wanted to hear about that, and a lot of you said yes. I have a feeling this vlog is already pretty long, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. But I think what I'll do is either, if for some reason next month I end up being in like a really quiet mood and I don't have a lot to talk about, then maybe I'll do it. Not likely. Probably what is going to happen is I'll just do a separate video about it and just upload that on my own. Won't have like all of Meg's beautiful editing, but we'll just do kind of a low-key chat about book agents and my limited experience with having one so far. But yeah, I wanted to hop on here just to do a final check-in for the to-do list. And if you watch the August vlog, you'll see kind of like all that has happened since then, because in September I have been working on client projects as well, but I've also kind of carried over that same list with the non-client projects that we looked at in August, and most of that is actually finally done now. So here, let me just flip it around. Where did my list go? I kind of want to move over to my desk, but like the sun is beaming in the window over there because it's about 4 o'clock. So you guys will be blinded if we go over there. Where is the list? Okay, here we go. Here's the list. All right, so hopefully you can see this okay. Let me see here. Yes, all right. So all of my client stuff, August, September, that's all done. I do have a couple more client things starting next week. So I will make a fresh list. It'll probably be a pretty similar format, which you guys will see in the next month's vlog. And I think I'm also in that vlog going to include, I have been using Asana, task management software, both for task management, for to-do list, and for collaboration. And I am obsessed with it. I can't believe I didn't do it sooner. But since I'm still kind of new at it, I feel like I shouldn't do a video about it, because I know there are people who are like really into Asana and who know all the tricks and everything. But I may talk about that a little bit in next month's vlog, but you'll still see. I think I like doing this paper to-do list with you guys. It's a good way to have a point to come back to. So I think most of the stuff that's on here that got checked off, you would have already seen. The things that are new, I made a cover for the vlog. And I still haven't launched the standalone class. The standalone class is going to launch October 1st. And the reason that got delayed is because I didn't want it to launch the same week as my Skillshare class. I didn't want people to be like bombarded with like 2 different classes. So that one's going to launch next week. But the Skillshare class got launched. I made, what else is on here that was to do with that? The cover design, the class description. I can't remember if I had done that the last time we talked, but yeah, look at all these check marks. I need to still make a colored pencil order. That's what I was working on right now. It's what you saw me doing here, like figuring out which colored pencils I needed to order. I'll probably just do that tonight while I'm on the couch. I'm also, you can see in my notes here, what is that other thing? I wrote SD cards, which I understand. I want to get more SD cards. And then I have also put on my list art slang. I have no idea what that means. Art sling? Oh, art sleeves maybe? I think that's, yes, art sleeves, yes. I think I was thinking of stuff to put originals in. I'm sending out a couple of originals next week. That must be what it is. Okay, so yes, I have to order those 3 things tonight. And then I crossed out the put images in the social media folder. So I crossed that out not only because it has been on there forever. I haven't been doing it, but I actually have kind of switched gears a little bit with the plan for social media for the next month. Andy from Creative Pep Talk is doing like a challenge, and he's calling it Peptober. And I haven't done any sort of a challenge since I did Inktober. And I don't think I could do Inktober again just because the amount of time required in creating all of those pieces. But Peptober is like a social media challenge. And I have been feeling, you guys know better than anybody, I have been feeling so burnt out with social media lately, and just not really feeling like doing any of the like strategic, important, all the things that they say you should do. I can make a whole video about that and why that is. But the thing that has been feeling good about social media has just been me being like, you know what, forget the expectations, forget having a schedule, which is part of the reason why I was dragging my feet with putting stuff in the social media folder, is I just hate the feeling of being like, all right, got to put this much out each week, got to have these many posts, got to just feeling like a absolute like factory about it. And what has been fun has just been like not worrying so much about what the images in my feed look like just taking a picture to show you guys what I'm up to. Not worrying about being consistent, you know, some days posting like a couple times in one day, sometimes not posting for 7 or 8 days in a row or even longer, and just being okay with that. Basically having the attitude that I had initially, which was just, this is something that I'm doing for fun and as a way to motivate myself. And if something is feeling like actively demotivating, then not feeling like I have to do it. Like, I've actually been enjoying making reels because they're so like easy, but I'm not getting really caught up in like making perfect reels or making them like really amazing. I know that they could be so much better than I'm doing them, but I'm just having fun making them in a low-key way and putting them out there with reduced, well, with no expectations really, with just throwing them out there. So the Peptober thing sounded fun to me because it's a way to, the whole point was like that you weren't having to like funnel out like a bunch of new work, that this is a lot of stuff that could be work that you've already done or showing it in a different way. I will link to the episode where he's talking about that. Well, when will you guys see this? You know what, you're not going to see it till partway through October anyway, but you could still join in if you wanted to. Yeah, I'll leave the link to that below. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have already seen me posting about this, hopefully, for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And so I changed my to-do list item was to plan a little bit for that. So I had all of the prompt lists, and I just kind of thought through what posts I would want to do. And yeah, I'm just going to do it. And I probably am, with my new very chill attitude, I'm just going to do the ones that feel fun to do. And if there are some that I'm like, I really can't do this, or this is feeling like a drag, I'm not going to force myself to do it. So that is where I'm at with social media right now. And I think it's just like anything else in life, where sometimes it works to do it one way, and then some time goes by and it doesn't work to approach it that way anymore, and you have to shift gears. And right now, the mode that I'm in is just needing to hold it really lightly and just, you know, yeah, be okay with just taking the good parts and trying to let go of the bad stuff, and not feel like it's something that I have to like super control or get like really mega strategic about. Otherwise, I just feel too demotivated. So yeah, that's where all of that is. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the fact that like not only did I get all this client work done, I got 2 different classes pulled together, and the big client email. What else did I do? I mean, I guess that was mainly it, but oh, and a book proposal. I wrote my book proposal. Those are like 4 things that were on my non-client to-do list for a long time. And so it feels really good to have those wrapped up. And even though it's, you know, the end of September, it kind of feels a little bit like, oh, a new year, or a new, like, I'm turning over a new leaf, right? Entering a new season, because these have been on my list. Like many of these have been on my list since the spring, or even some of them before that. So yeah, feels good to wrap all those things up. Thanks for coming along with me on the journey. And yeah, I will see you all in the next vlog. Yes. And oh yeah, leave your questions if you do have any questions in the comments, and I will try to get to those. All right, guys, have a wonderful September, because that's where I am, but you're watching this in October. So have a wonderful rest of your October, and I will see you soon. Bye.